Welcome everyone to Midwest Tree ID. On this channel, it is my mission to help you learn an abundance of trees that grow right here in the Midwest, and some key features on how to identify them. There's just one thing to clarify before we begin. We're not going to be throwing hatred or ridiculing any of the species that we're going to be talking about. But we do, however, want to encourage thoughtful conversation in the comments about personal experiences and things like that. Please try to remember that everything has value and that we are here to enjoy nature and everything it has to offer. So without anything else, let's jump right in. Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. Today we're talking about Koelreuteria paniculata, and this is the Goldenrain tree. Definitely going to be one of my favorite late blooming flowering trees, and I'll show you why in just a little bit. But Goldenrain tree is known for having these typically pinnate to bipinnately compound leaves, and the leaves are the leaflets are kind of serrated, almost with these sharp teeth here, almost lobed. Some people have compared them to looking like a tomato leaf, and I would say that's a pretty accurate description. And they can contain 11 to 13 leaflets. And then they're going to be just this real nice green. Sometimes they can almost be kind of glossy, depending on where you're at. Goldenrain tree is going to be flowering pretty much this time of year. We're in mid to late June, and they're pretty much going to be in flower for the next, as far as the range of bloom time, for at least the next month. So they have a long window of blooms, and that's really important for our pollinators. They are an excellent pollinator tree. And let's go ahead and take a look at the bark, and then we'll take a look at the tree. The tree is currently in bloom, so I'll get to show you that. So the bark on Goldenrain tree is pretty unique. It's going to have these loose furrows, a little bit of exfoliation, but not a lot. But in the furrows is going to be kind of a really dark, amberish, reddish color. And the outer bark is going to be kind of a dull gray. That's pretty common, and it's pretty distinct, I would say. Not too many of our other trees have that kind of coloration in their bark. So this Goldenrain tree here is not fully bloomed out yet, believe it or not, even though it has bright yellow flowers everywhere. But you can kind of get a good sense of how these Goldenrain trees are looking. This one here kind of has a little bit of a mushroom cloud kind of habit to it, but they are typically much more rounded. And this one will probably do that as it gets older. It's not a real old tree. These trees can reach 30 high and a spread of 30 wide as well. And they're going to have these huge yellow panicles throughout the later parts of June through at least mid-July. And if I could get close enough, I could show you just how many different bees are hanging around in this tree. It's really hard to kind of zone in, but you can kind of see them flying around up there. There's bumblebees, honeybees, even some wasps that I've seen up in there. And every once in a while, there will be a butterfly, but it's kind of difficult to actually hone in on where they are because they keep moving around. There's some big bees in there, some little bees. There's all kinds of pollinators in this tree. And that's exactly what we want during this stretch of time when there's really no other trees in flower. So like I mentioned earlier, the Goldenrain tree does flower in mid to late summer. It blooms during a stretch of time that in the arboriculture world we call the nectar gap. A stretch of time when there's no other native trees flowering. Catalpas are done, lindens are done. That's pretty much the extent of our native tree flowering season. And now it's time for our non-native trees. Goldenrain tree is kind of the one that launches that. There's a few other non-native trees that we'll be talking about as they start blooming that help greatly with pollinators during this time of the season. And it's incredibly, incredibly important because our pollinators don't just stop just because the native trees are done flowering. There's obviously other native plants, other perennials and things like that that do flower during this time of year. But as far as trees go, this is pretty much that time called the nectar gap, where there's nothing else in bloom. Goldenrain tree kind of starts off that process. Now, Goldenrain tree is not an overly commonly used species. It's still relatively rare to find in the landscape, but it does really a good job of being a nice smaller yard tree or a nice park tree. It can be used as a street tree, but the seed pods on these can kind of make it a little bit messy from time to time for a situation like that. But out here in the yard, it's the perfect location. And we're really happy to have had this here, and we just hope it continues to flourish. Their root systems are not real aggressive, but they're very, very durable trees. So thank you for joining me, and we hope you like this one, and we will see you guys next time.